My name is Claire and this is my channel Claire's Footsteps, and today we're exploring the beautiful but very cold capital city of Estonia, Tallinn. Minus 11 degrees right now, and I'm about to spend the next 2 hours outside on a walking tour, so this might be interesting. I may freeze, but hopefully I'll learn lots about Estonia's history and culture. So let's get started. So I arrived in Tallinn last night. I didn't do anything last night aside from go to my capsule hotel. The video about that should already be up. So this is my first look at the city centre. It's cold. I've literally just been in Vilnius and Riga, and every time I go further north, I'm going north, aren't I? But every time I go sort of further northeast, it gets colder. I can't believe that. My phone says it's minus 11 degrees. Like, surely that's not right. Anyway, I'm just walking to meet my tour guide, but I want to get coffee and a pastry en route, so I'm just looking for somewhere that I can do that as well. I have been living off this caffeine cafe in the Baltics. They have branches in all of the countries I've been to, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. They do good coffee, oat milk, and they do a range of different like sandwiches, toasties. I just got a pastry, so they're good if you want something quick and easy and you know it's going to be good. So I'm going to drink this, and Operation Try Not to Freeze begins now.
That Estonia is extremely flat. Now we do have one mountain that we are not even calling as a mountain.
There are a few really beautiful viewing platforms in the upper part of Tallinn's old town. These were absolutely stunning. Like, it was so cold and it was so windy, but just look at that view. It was mesmerising. Ooh. So did the tour. The tour was very, very good. Really interesting. Learnt lots about Tallinn and Estonia, but I'm not gonna lie, the cold is getting to me. Like, this is where the phrase "it's Baltic" comes from. It is about minus 10, and I'm wearing like what I was wearing in Lithuania and Latvia, but it's 5 degrees colder, so I really should have worn another extra layer. I'm feeling pretty zonked as well, so I'm gonna be kind to myself. I can always come back to Tallinn, so I'm not going to rush around too much and try and fit absolutely everything in. I'm just walking to the History Museum now, so stay indoors for a bit longer and hopefully learn a little bit more about the history there, and then I will head to the Christmas market later on, but then I think that's all I'll do today. And then tomorrow I am taking a boat to Helsinki, but I will do a bit more exploring in the morning. I'll try and get up a bit earlier and do a bit more walking around and stuff, but I'll make sure I'm wearing all my layers. I'll have all my stuff with me then, so that will be I'll definitely be able to have enough layers and put something extra on if I need to. So yeah, that is the plan. I just went to a Georgian restaurant for lunch, which was very tasty. Georgian restaurants are always very tasty, but it wasn't cheap. I paid 19 euros for a lobiani, which is like a bean-filled bread. I do still have just under half of it with me to take away, so it was very filling, and I'll be able to have like that and just something small for my dinner as well. So I paid 19 euros for that and a cup of tea. So Estonia isn't the cheapest. It's a little bit more than the other Baltic states, but actually I think they've gone up in price as well recently. Cost of living crisis and all. Right, let's go find where this museum is. Okay, I think I got to grips with Tallinn's history, so let's explain it very briefly. So the Danes came here in the 13th century, and they had a war with Estonia because they wanted to occupy the land. According to legend, the Danish were nearly losing, but then the Danish flag fell from the sky, which meant that the Danish won. German merchants started to come here in the 1230s, and Tumpe, which is the old part of the town, got very crowded, and it managed to be granted Lübeck rights, and it became a Hanseatic city. So Western powers and Russia and Eastern powers would trade here because Western and Eastern powers wouldn't trade directly with each other. So they'd use Tallinn as a crossroads between East and West. And it got really prosperous due to this. Around this time, the Tallinn Town Hall was built. It was the oldest in Northern Europe, and Lutheranism arrived in the city in 1550. This was during the Leuven War, when Tallinn surrendered to Sweden and was then under the Swedish crown. During this time, Tallinn was left off trade routes and it kind of became a shadow of its former self, although Sweden did build Estonia's first university, but this wasn't in Tallinn. It was in Tartu, which is their second city. In 1710, Tallinn joined the Russian Empire. It was under the Russian Empire for around 200 years, but when the Russian Revolution happened, Estonia, along with Lithuania and Latvia, proclaimed their independence. So Estonia was an independent country from 1918. At first there was unemployment and strikes, but Tallinn as a capital soon developed into quite a modern, prosperous place. However, this unfortunately came to an end during the war, and it was occupied by Soviet forces, then German forces, then Soviet forces again. Like in Latvia and Lithuania, the Soviets didn't leave until the 1990s. They gained independence for the second time on August the 20th, 1991. And while there was a bit of corruption in the 90s, at the turn of the century it became a tourist hub and a popular place with tech. And nowadays it's a very modern, booming capital. That was a great little museum and good to get a grounding of Tallinn and Estonia's history. I'm now walking over to the Tallinn Town Hall, which is the oldest town hall in Northern Europe. So this is the Town Hall Pharmacy, which dates back to 1422. Go have a little look in, see what it's like inside. But the guide said that you can actually still buy love potions from there. She said she doesn't know whether they work or not, but apparently that's the thing, you can get them for about €2. Let's go and see if it's open and see if I can have a little look inside. That was really interesting. So the love potion things are like little marzipan sweets. I mean, I think they're just overpriced sweets, if I'm honest, but apparently they've been in use in Tallinn since the medieval times. Still a working pharmacy in there. I actually bought some tiger balm because I need some, and it was a little bit cheaper than it is at home, so I thought I may as well buy some. Otherwise I was just going in to take photos and I felt a bit bad for the lady behind the counter. So I'm just going to go have a little look at the town hall now, and then it's Christmas market time. Oh my goodness, this scared the life out of me. Like in the rest of the Baltics, the festive vibes are strong here. I don't believe this is open in the winter. So there's a little like very dark tavern under there, which is quite cool. So here we go, here's some information about the town hall. The only surviving Gothic town hall in Northern Europe was first mentioned in 1322, but the present day building dates back to 1402 to 1404, when it was a Hanseatic city. It's still used for ceremonial and cultural purposes, but it does seem that in the winter months you can't actually visit it. I think it's open on weekends, the actual town hall, but not during the week, and the town hall tower isn't open at all apart from in the summer. So that's one thing about coming to Tallinn in the winter, I guess you don't get quite as many attractions open. It's very foreboding to look at from the outside nonetheless. I'm one mulled wine down and now I'm having a mulled Aperol. Aperol, white wine and orange juice is quite nice. A bit different to an Aperol spritz, but nice to have something a little bit different, as I've drunk a lot of mulled wine this week. This Christmas market is very, very good, don't get me wrong, but I do think Riga's just had that edge. I think it was just because it had so many different elements to it. This is very much like stall, selling drinks, selling food, etc. But it's very, very magical, don't get me wrong, like it's beautiful. It's in a beautiful location underneath the town hall. So yeah, like it's absolutely amazing. I don't want to compare and then take any experiences of it, but yeah, have another little walk around and then head back to my warm capsule hotel, I think. Yeah, the market was absolutely magical. I just think Riga's just had that edge, and that was definitely my favourite market out of the three in the Baltics. But the Christmas vibes were still very, very strong here, and I still think that any of the Baltics are absolute elite in terms of Christmas destinations, and I'm baffled as to why more people don't come to them. They had some nice products here as well. They were a little bit on the pricier side, but there was some good stuff. These are apparently a standard Estonian cake that's worth trying. Oh, also, Riga say they invented the Christmas tree. Tallinn also say they invented the Christmas tree. Riga say they invented it in 1510, and Tallinn say they invented it in around 1470. So one of them did. Not sure who, but it's nice to see the Christmas tree here as well. And yeah, just look at these lights. Like, oh, it was really, really magical. Definitely worth coming here for a Christmas trip. Just layer up, bring lots and lots of warm clothes. I am just about to leave the market. Slight hiccups have happened. One is resolved, the other one is still in process. So the first one was my phone has run out of battery. I think 'cause it's so cold, the battery just completely drained. And I have a bus ticket on there that I now can't use, and I also can't call a Bolt, and I also don't even know how to get to where I'm staying, so I've got to resolve that. I'm gonna go to the Tourist Information Centre, which hopefully will still be open. If not, I'll just have to find someone to ask. I'll figure it out somehow, some way. Second disaster was that my microphone had fallen on the floor for my camera, this thing, but as you can see I now have it. I paced the whole market and it was still lying on the floor, so luckily that one was resolved, and now I'm going to resolve crisis number 2. It's all good. You can usually resolve these things fairly easily. I'm sure the people at the Tourist Information will help me out if it's still open, and that is this way. Alright, this is looking promising. It's this place with the lights on here. Alright, I am armed with a physical map. It's turning into quite the quest, and I have directions to get to the tram stop, and then from there I get the tram. And even though I can't use my ticket, unfortunately, I'll have to try and use it tomorrow, I can still tap on apparently, so actually that's probably easier than buying a ticket online like I did earlier. So let's try and find this tram stop. It's alright, it's early, I've got ages, there's plenty of people to ask, everyone here speaks English, so I will be okay. The second I said I will be okay, my map just blew away, but I have it back, so let's go. This is good to know for anyone who's coming to Tallinn for Christmas. There is an ice rink here. I'll look up some information when I get back and I'll put it in the description. Grab a snack from here. Alright, second crisis is averted. Woohoo! The tram was actually really, really easy. You do have to pay with contactless at the front of the tram, that's the only thing. But other than that, it was very easy to find, it was very easy to board, and then we went straight past where I'm staying, so I knew where to walk back to. And I just popped into the petrol station. I've still got half of my bean bread to eat for dinner, but then I also got a chocolate bar and a protein bar just in case I get hungry. So I should be sorted for the night now, and I can go and warm up. I've not been up to much this evening, but then I've also been doing lots of little bits. I've put my laundry on, and it said it was going to take 4 hours and 40 minutes to wash and dry. So I'm still waiting on that. I really want to go to sleep. Didn't realise it was going to take that long because I didn't actually really need it to be done, but I just thought I would because it was cheap and it's always nice to have clean clothes. But yeah, kind of regretting that now. I just had some, like, my takeaway lunch for dinner and spoke to my boyfriend, booked some train tickets, so just been doing itty things. But I'm going to go to bed soon because I'm very tired, and hopefully I'll wake up feeling refreshed tomorrow and be ready to take on a morning of exploring Tallinn. It is day number 2 in Tallinn, and I am wearing every single layer possible today, so hopefully I won't get as cold. I've got running leggings, jeans and tracksuit bottoms on my bottom half, and then I've got a t-shirt and 3 jumpers on my top half, and then I'm going to put my jacket on over the top. It's looking a couple of degrees warmer as well, so hopefully I won't feel the cold as much today. So the plan is I'm going to head into the city centre, have a little walk around, and then slowly make my way over to the hipster district, which is an area I didn't see at all yesterday, and this is where a lot of the sort of startup companies and things in Tallinn are based, and they've
painted all the buildings really brightly and stuff, and apparently it's a really like cool fun place to be, lots of street art and things. So I'm going to go there and get some brunch, or maybe lunch by the time I get there, and then head over to the port, which is when I'm going to Helsinki. So hopefully I'll still manage to see a bit more of the old town as I'm walking around today. I haven't seen a huge amount of Tallinn. There's definitely more I could still be seeing, but I can definitely come back. So yeah, I'm just going to see what I can see and just take the day as it comes. So let's go. I'll try and point out some interesting things along the way as well. We've got a really great cityscape here. You've got the Independence Monument, then you've got a tower which I can't remember exactly when that dates back to, but it looks rather medieval. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then in the background you can just about see the Russian Orthodox Church, which I'm going to head up to in a moment, and I'll explain a bit more about that. The monument behind me, if you can see it, that represents both of their independences, which they gained in 1918 and 1991, and they celebrate both of the independences. The guide yesterday said that they don't love this statue. I mean, it's a bit not the prettiest statue, I guess, and it costs them a lot of money to make and a lot to maintain, so it's a little bit controversial, but it's good to have the reminder. It definitely feels cold, but not as cold as it felt yesterday. But I think it is a couple of degrees warmer, but I am wearing a lot more layers, and you can definitely feel the difference. Like, I did know this as well, I don't know why. I went out yesterday in what I was alright with wearing in Riga and Vilnius, but it was 5 degrees colder, so I was very, very cold. So yeah, layers are key. And I should be alright to walk around today. I'm just going to grab a coffee from my favourite Baltic coffee shop, Caffeine, and I think I might get a cinnamon bun to put in my bag for later as well. One of the most interesting things about Tallinn is that its old town is in two parts. There's a lower old town and an upper old town, which is also called Tumpe. And Tumpe is the really, well, it's all historic, but the upper old town, Tumpe, is the bit that was first granted city status back in the 13th century, I want to say, when it got the Lubeck rights. So this gate, which is called the short leg gate, is the only pedestrian gate that connects the two. And then you can walk out here and right away you'll see the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral. So 45% of Tallinn's population is Russian, and out of the Russian population, around 60% of them are religious. Now, out of ethnic Estonian people, only about 4% of them say that they're religious. So this makes Russian Orthodox actually the biggest religion in Estonia, although the official religion is Lutheran. The Alexander Nevsky Cathedral is by far the biggest religious building for Russian Orthodox Christians in the city. It was built in the 1890s when the country was part of the Russian Empire. When Estonia gained independence the first time in 1918, they did want to demolish the cathedral, but they didn't have enough money to. And when they gained independence the second time in 1991, they did recognise it to be an important part of heritage and history, so they've kept it standing, and it is still a place of worship today. You can go inside the cathedral, it's free to go inside. Men have to make sure nothing is covering their head. Women, it doesn't matter, and it is free to go in, but you can't take any photos, and you do have to be completely quiet. This is an interesting place as well behind me. It is a WC, publicly. When Estonia gained independence in the early 1990s, obviously, like nowadays, it's a big tech hub and is very prosperous, and it's developing and developing. But in the 1990s, obviously, it took them a while to find their feet after they gained independence, and there was a lot of corruption and a lot of needless taxpayers' money being spent on needless things. One of them was this public toilet, which at the time cost the equivalent of 200,000 euros to build, and it's just one cubicle, and no one's really sure why, but it's just a good example of all the corruption that was going on at the time. And even nowadays it'll cost you 20 cents to visit, so I think I'm alright. So behind me now is Tumpe Castle, and this is both there's a medieval fortification you can probably see in the background, and then the more modern building, although not completely modern. And this has always been the seat of Estonian power. Estonian ruler has always sort of operated from here for the last 800 years. So it's been the seat of Danes, Swedes, Russians, and then obviously independent Estonians. And today still the Prime Minister of Estonia, who is a woman, is in power here. Another interesting fact that I picked up about Estonia is that they predominantly do online voting. You can go vote in person, but it's much more common to vote online. So I thought that's really cool. Like, I always say, like, that is what the UK needs. Going to a polling station and voting by hand just seems so old school. This was me yesterday. So I'm just walking down to the hipster district of Tallinn now, and that will be my last stop, sadly. It's a shame, it's a real shame I didn't wear more layers yesterday, because I feel fine today. Like, I can feel it's cold, but I can definitely like walk around for the day, you know, just having a few stops every now and then to warm up. But yesterday I was really struggling, and it was just because I had that one less layer on both my bottom half and my top half, and I didn't have my scarf either. So that was foolish, but never mind. As I said before, we live and we learn. So this is Long Leg Gate Tower, and the other one was Short Leg Gate Tower. This is a really fun little market here. It's called Balti Jam, and it has lots of different kind of street food, little cafes, little restaurants. I've seen a Georgian restaurant, an Uzbek restaurant. I think I'm just going past a sushi restaurant here. So loads and loads of different cuisines. This would be a really good place to come for lunch. Actually, I wish I'd come here for lunch yesterday straight after the walking tour, but I was so cold then I couldn't think straight, so I just went to the nearest place. But yeah, would definitely recommend heading here. It looks like food is a little bit cheaper as well than in the old town. There's an inside bit as well. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not quite sure where I'm going. I think I'm in the neighbourhood that I am aiming for now. So I think it's Kalamaja, which is the neighbourhood, the sort of the new hipster neighbourhood. You can see some street art behind me, which sort of gives off a bit of a hipster feel. So this is the sort of rejuvenated neighbourhood, and this is where a lot of Estonia's tech companies are like based now. A lot of startups have their offices here. So it's a good time to talk about Estonia's thriving startup scene. So sort of the turn of the century, Estonia started to get very involved in tech, and nowadays it is one of the most techy countries in the world. A lot of businesses have been founded here, such as Skype, which isn't used as much anymore but was very, very big. Bolt taxis, which are popular across Eastern Europe, but also they are used in London. I use them in London now.
My microphone audio corrupted then, but just also explained that TransferWise is also an Estonian company. So then I just had a little look at the street art and the snowplow.
And apparently nowadays these kind of memes go around that are like, are you even Estonian if you don't have a startup? Things like that. So it's very like, it is very much the startup capital of Europe, maybe even the world. I was going to go to a cafe here and have like a brunch, but you know, I don't think I've got time. The one that I was aiming for was called Fika Cafe, which had very good reviews and came highly recommended. But unfortunately, it seems to be the opposite way to everything else. So I don't think I'm going to have time to go there today. So I'm going to go back into Old Reliable Caffeine and just get a takeaway sandwich just so I've got something to eat on the boat. I'm walking away from the Kalamaja neighbourhood now and towards the ferry terminal in Tallinn. I didn't find the really like popping colourful houses that I was looking for. I think they may be closer to the sea, but closer to the sea the other side to where I'm going. But I'll see if I'll do some research and see if I can find a bit more information on how to find them, and I'll put it in the description. So if you are going to Tallinn and looking for them, hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier. But given my time restrictions and the fact that fact that my camera is now on 2 bars battery, it's not ideal, and the fact that I need to get to my boat, and I always like to leave a bit of extra time for this because I took a ferry from France to Algeria and I ended up at completely the wrong ferry terminal, even though that was the wrong direct ferries told me. So you can never rely on these things. So yeah, I'm walking towards the ferry terminal now. Wanted to take a sort of a slow amble there anyway to see if I see anything else interesting en route. But yeah, I know I keep saying it, but what a difference an extra layer makes. I feel absolutely fine. Like, I can feel it is cold, but I don't feel that cold. So yeah, if you're coming to Estonia in winter, I really recommend it. Just layer up. That's all. The Maritime Museum is in this part of town. That would have been interesting to check out. I feel like I may have gone to the wrong place for the creative quarter because I just saw a sign to it and it was not where I came from. So when I'm warm, I'll do a bit of research and I will leave all the information in the description. So just head down there and hopefully that will all become clear because I'm just as confused as you right now. So I am about a 5-minute walk away from, I think, where I need to be. So I guess this is a good time to wrap up this video. The boat crossing will be in another video which will be live tomorrow. So do check that out if you're interested to know what a Baltic Sea crossing in -10 degrees is like, because I'm intrigued. I'll just run this video off with 2 tips that I wanted to give for visiting Tallinn and the Baltics in general in winter. 2 tips that I have learnt from my mistakes. One is to take more clothes than you think you need. Obviously I'm travelling with just this bag and it was quite important to me that I did only have this bag because I was doing quite a lot of days like this where I was getting out, seeing the city and then going straight to my transport, so I didn't necessarily have, I wasn't able to carry a lot of baggage around with me. But I could have really done with some good waterproof trousers, maybe even another coat. I would have had to buy that, but never mind. 2 pairs of shoes, that kind of thing. So yeah, just take a bit extra than you think you need, a couple more layers. You'd be all fine doing it hand luggage only, but probably not under seat baggage only, which is what I did. So that's my first tip, but actually my second tip kind of ties in with that, because if I was staying central in every city, I wouldn't have had to take this bag and I wouldn't have to carry it with me every time I was going out. So for example in Riga I stayed really central and it made such a difference because on my last day I could just leave my bag there while I went out and then I just came back and got it, etc. But actually everywhere else I've stayed, including Helsinki, I've ended up staying quite far out, at least half an hour walk out. But actually Vilnius, get them mixed up. Vilnius, I was an hour and 20 minutes walk, so I didn't walk, it would have been too long a walk, so it was like a 15-minute boat ride. So because of that I have had to have this bag with me, but I would recommend if you're visiting in the winter, book more central, because it makes such a difference being able to go back to your hotel, warm up a little bit, just even going into the lobby and not worrying that you're going to get told off because you're not staying there. But yeah, just being able to go into the lobby and looking up where you want to go next, etc. It does just make such a difference. So those are my top 2 tips for visiting in the winter. Pack more clothes and stay central. So I hope this video has been helpful. I do definitely feel like there's more that I need to see in Tallinn, but I think I made quite a good stab at it given how cold it is and that I didn't have too much time here. I do feel like I've got a good summary of its history and I think I've seen all of the main sites of the old city, but definitely there's a lot more I could see on a deeper level, but I'll just have to come back. So yeah, I'm gonna go and see about this boat now, see what I need to do, where I need to be, and thank you so much for watching this video and I hope to see you next time.